The Black Sea Fleet's command fortress, once deemed impregnable, has just suffered one of Ukraine's most precise strikes since the war began. In the frigid darkness of the Azov coast, a warhead weighing over 2 tons, codenamed Flamingo, secretly left its launcher, piercing through every layer of defense to reach the most heavily guarded target. Inside the fortress, 5 Russian campaign-level generals were holding a top-secret meeting to direct a large-scale missile assault on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Above them were 3 layers of reinforced concrete, a Podlet-M radar system, 2 S-350 batteries, 4 Pantsir S-2 complexes, and a 24/7 active electronic jamming network. Yet none of this stopped a warhead that knew exactly its target's location, timing, and fatal structural weakness. For 3 years, Russia believed its underground command system was an impenetrable strategic asset. But at dawn today, that very stronghold was struck. How did Ukraine pinpoint the moment the 5 generals entered the bunker? How could Flamingo bypass every air defense undetected? Don't take your eyes off the screen before the secret is revealed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts on this battle. Deep within the eastern Azov Peninsula, a Russian Black Sea Fleet campaign-level command complex, military codename Object 2041, was entering full close-position lockdown. Nestled in a narrow bay, shielded by low hills and a dense ground radar network, Object 2041 was designed as a joint operations fortress, Navy, Air Force, and electronic warfare. Its 3-level semi-underground structure featured a UHF-absorbing reinforced roof, concrete walls over a meter thick, seismic sensors, and independently grounded walls meeting old NATO standards. This wasn't just a data and command processing hub for coastal observation posts, it was the brain behind launching Caliber NK, Shahed 136, and Cal 101 cruise missiles from destroyers, coordinating floating radars, and managing S-300 PMU-2 systems along the Azov coast. The multi-layered air defense around the target included 2 outer S-350 Vidyas batteries, a Podlet-M radar for low-altitude surveillance, a Gamma S-1E radar for mid-altitude control, and 4 Pantsir S-2 air defense systems arranged in a tight plum blossom formation. Additionally, R-330 Zachid, Zitel, and Palena-1 jamming complexes operated round-the-clock to block reconnaissance satellites and GPS-guided missiles. But at that moment, Ukraine had seized a critical opportunity, according to SIGINT's decryption by the GUR. At exactly 04:13 a.m., 5 Russian campaign-level generals, including the Naval Operations Commander, Electronic Warfare Commander, Deputy Black Sea Fleet Commander, a General Staff Advisor, and the Logistics Detachment Chief, would enter Podlet-M Central Conference Room for a meeting to direct a long-range Caliber and Shahed barrage targeting eastern Ukraine's critical energy infrastructure. The meeting would last no longer than 40 minutes, but that was enough to turn this massive attack coordination system into strategic target priority 1. Ukrainian intelligence confirmed this was a non-repeatable opportunity. The only method to strike an underground target, bypass its defenses, and inflict both physical and psychological damage on high-level command could only be a deep penetrating super heavy warhead. Drones couldn't infiltrate. HIMARS lacked the range. Air forces couldn't enter the interception zone. Thus, the only option was activated. The Flamingo 2150 ballistic missile, a warhead weighing over 2 tons with a tandem-shaped charge penetrator, designed specifically to destroy underground command centers, something even a multi-million-dollar caliber missile couldn't achieve. With full verification from remote sensing and coastal sensor stations, the order was issued: activate the Deep Core Fire Strike Plan. Only one question remained. Would Russia have enough time to realize that the bunker they believed was their safest haven would become their fatal weak point in less than 4 minutes? The Flamingo 2150 is no ordinary weapon. It's a strategic deep penetration warhead, weighing over 2.1 tons, designed for targets buried under heavily reinforced structures, typically used to neutralize command bunkers, nuclear arsenals, or radar coordination stations. Its outer shell is made of tungsten carbon alloy, with a 2-stage shaped charge core and a stabilized penetrator nose, guided by inertial fins. Unlike conventional artillery, Flamingo follows a high-speed ballistic trajectory, adjusted by 3 guidance stages: inertial navigation, INS, encrypted GLONASS signals, and pre-programmed terrain imagery from Lotos S-1 reconnaissance satellites. In Ukraine's entire arsenal, only 3 Flamingo missiles remained operational since the US and UK transferred prototype bunker buster technology late last year. But one was enough if it hit the right spot at the right time. At 03:55, the launch platform was set. not from an underground silo or military truck launcher, but from inside an old power grid maintenance truck, painted with the Azov Energy Bureau logo, parked near a destroyed broadcast station from the previous month. The launcher was integrated into a refrigerated cargo compartment, with a hydraulic roof opening at a 45-degree angle, remotely controlled via encrypted laser signals from 2 kilometers away. The launch site was no accident. It was just under 15 kilometers from Russia's Kolmsky radar line, positioned in a terrain depression between 2 ridges, a blind sweep zone in the Podlet-M1's coverage map. Russian radars couldn't see into the terrain's low dip unless the missile flew too high, which Flamingo never did in its initial phase. Upon launch, the missile shot out at a 23.5-degree angle, staying below 150-meter altitude for the first 60 seconds. To distract and dilute Russia's air defense response, a simultaneous decoy operation was launched. From a secret UAV base in Zaporizhia, 2 modified Tu-41 Strizh drones, repurposed as electronic traps with ELINT decoy pods, mimicked the radar signature of a real Grom-2 missile salvo. These UAVs took off at 0405, veering northeast, where Russia's Gamma S-1E radar prioritized its response. As expected, the regional radar system redirected its focus, and Pantsir S-2 units shifted their scanning arcs, leaving the southwest approach Flamingo's path vulnerable at the control bunker of Ukraine's 19th Missile Brigade. 80 kilometers from the launch site, a special operations team was ready. Guidance data was pre-programmed with the target coordinates: Objet 2041 central route, 4.3 meter below ground, 1.1 meter north of the conference room center, the structurally weakest point of the underground meeting space. Flamingo had no second chance. Everything had to be perfect. The final confirmation order was sent at 0412:08. A silent detection system picked up 5 internal Russian satellite phones on L-band frequencies, activating simultaneously inside Objet 2041, confirming the general's presence. Secondary signals from microwave vibration sensors near underground cables detected pressure shifts from the second-level steel door, one of the only entries to the conference room. At 0413:04, the ignition system was triggered. Flamingo 2150 launched with a deafening roar, sending a heat wave across the ground and a lingering screech through the air. Every second, the 2-ton warhead raced at Mach 3.7, weaving through terrain like a sword aimed at the enemy's spine. Its approach angle was meticulously calculated to avoid the radar reflection grid near the command post, which was set for a 70-degree vertical sweep, but left a gap due to overlapping coverage with a nearby S-350 BDAZ. When Flamingo was 11 kilometers from the target, its seeker activated. A multispectral imaging sensor, paired with a 3D geological terrain map, adjusted the trajectory to within meters of the target. The entire flight from launch to approach lasted under 196 seconds, supported by over 12 synchronized sensor parameters, from air pressure and temperature to low-frequency wave reflection and local magnetic effects. Russia's air defenses hadn't completed their radar remapping when the warhead entered the radar dead zone. Too close, too low, too weak a signature, too fast. Meanwhile, the 2 Tu-41 decoy UAVs completed their mission and self-destructed after hitting Russian radar markers near Primorsko. Not a single interceptor missile was launched. Not one Pantsir S-2 unit reacted in time. The approach was complete. The supposedly impregnable Object 241 defense complex had lost its first shield. Flamingo had less than 15 seconds to turn the command center into a permanent black mark on the enemy's campaign map. 0416:20, Flamingo 2150 entered its final phase, terminal dive. At nearly Mach 3.5, with a 38-degree descent angle, it sliced through the lower atmosphere, creating a brief ionized cloud in the sky, the last sign Russia's ground radars could detect before becoming useless. Even if the Podlet-M1 caught an anomaly at 700-meter altitude, the Pantsir S-2's lock-on and response cycle required at least 9 seconds, too slow to change anything. Flamingo struck Object 241's roof at 04016:42. At the preset coordinates, the intersection of the command corridor's axis and the technical junction between the network operations and combat command zones, the tandem-shaped charge penetrator instantly breached 3 roof layers, 1 pressure-resistant, 1 UHF-welded steel, and 1 specialized reinforced concrete, penetrating 4.1 meter underground. The delayed fuse triggered. The first explosion erupted in the second-level Joint Command Center. Instantaneous pressure exceeded 720 psi, obliterating all control equipment and servers. Steel support racks twisted into spirals, fiber optic cables burned like cotton, and naval and airstrike coordination systems shattered into fragments. Cooling, backup power, and internal connections switched to failstate. Less than 0.7 seconds later, the second explosion, Flamingo's deep penetration phase, detonated. The epicenter reached 1400 degrees, incinerating all air in the central conference room and collapsing the command transmission chamber. The shockwave through the western corridor tore the third-level pressure door off its hinges, crushing a duty soldier instantly. Internal cameras captured 1.3 seconds of blinding light before static and blackout. The entire Objet 2041 complex shook like a localized earthquake. Ukrainian seismic sensors 70 kilometers away recorded an ML 2.5 tremor lasting 2.6 seconds. The surrounding air compressed like an invisible hammer. The central roof was blown open, creating a 6.2-meter-wide crater spewing black smoke and dust over 40 meters high, forming a volcanic-like gas column. Shattered concrete, twisted steel cores, and demagnetization systems burned like scraps. Inside the conference room, no officer survived. All 5 campaign-level generals perished instantly, many too dismembered for identification. Staff aides, telecom technicians, and 2 weapons operation leads lay dead amid the rubble. Internal biosensors monitoring senior personnel flatlined within 4.3 seconds of the blast. The system died instantly, with no time to send a distress signal. Outside, Pantsir's 2 units were still realigning when the command center was destroyed. No intercept order was ever issued. No missiles were fired skyward. The automated coordination system went into standby, but no one was left to give commands. At 04:17:08, the external Gamma S1E radar lost synchronization, emitting blind ping signals with no response. The Black Sea Fleet's internal routing system logged a battlefield control packet loss from the command center, meaning air defense, cruise missiles, UAVs, and electronic warfare were simultaneously disabled. It all unfolded in under 30 seconds, enough to sever the entire command chain in the Eastern Peninsula. No return fire, no alarms, just a gaping black hole where the campaign's nerve center once stood, and a communication line falling into eternal silence. Flamingo didn't just destroy infrastructure, it killed the enemy's operational nervous system. As the bunker collapsed in silence, the balance of control over the Azov coast flipped, a precise, devastating strike with no chance for counterattack. The first sign of paralysis wasn't the explosion, but the unnatural silence in the Black Sea Fleet's tactical command network. On the encrypted UHF-41 channel, the destroyer Admiral Essen, anchored south of Berdyansk port, repeatedly sent access signals to the central operations system, receiving only, no sync, command host offline. The entire multi-weapon coordination model C4ISR collapsed literally. No radar, no data links, no commanders. The Russian Azov fleet was like an armored column with its hydraulics cut intact on the outside, chaotic within. Within 3 minutes of the blast, over 16 surface and coastal units lost all fire coordination. Pre-deployed caliber NK systems on Podlet-M and Sturgushchi-class ships remained in final launch readiness but lacked activation codes. Shahed 136 UAVs set to depart from Primorsky were grounded without process target coordinates. Even S-300 PMU-2 units near Melitopol, tracking decoy signals, fell into manual autonomous mode due to lost central command. By 04:22, coastal air defense operated as isolated units, slashing response capacity by over 65%. A logged order from a western substation read, "Activate temporary defense protocol. Situation from main command unconfirmed." But this never reached the Eastern Panzer units. The internal transmission network was severed by the core cable destruction in the command level. Inside Object 2041's crater, glowing steel and twisted cables protruded. All backup systems, diesel generators, optical routing hubs were incinerated in the second blast. The Q-band military relay room linked directly to Moscow's strategic network was obliterated, creating an irreplaceable communication chokehold for at least 48 to 72 hours. The Russian general's remains, including the 8th Army Corps Deputy Commander, Azov Network Operations Commander, and Naval Logistics Chief, were identified via RFID tags and residual biosensor data. For them, the battle ended instantly, but the consequences rippled far beyond. Their deaths weren't just personnel losses, they severed the operational command of the entire regional naval campaign. Ukrainian GOR electronic units intercepted chaotic internal Russian communications around Azov. Decrypted chatter revealed mid-level officers begging for calibrated redeployment guidance, radar damage assessments, and confirmation of the current senior commander. No replies came. One final exchange noted, "We don't know who's giving orders. The system isn't responding. We're flying blind." Within 15 minutes of the strike, over 40% of scheduled caliber and UAV attacks were suspended. At least 6 ships shifted to manual defense, and destroyers rerouted south, breaking the offshore Berdyansk control layout. Radar and missile assets dispersed, opening gaps in low-altitude defenses. By 0429, the eastern Azov coast tactical system, once an impenetrable armor, was a hollow steel shell. With one precise strike, Ukraine severed the operational coordination nerve, collapsed fire control chains, and left a Russian force running without a brain. No counterfire, no pursuit. Only silent, lingering chaos, more dangerous than explosives. Strategic disorientation across the system. Moscow built over 3 years in Azov. As Russia's electronic network scrambled to reboot from primary radio, Ukraine proved one thing: modern warfare doesn't need to hit the front lines, just the arteries, letting the enemy collapse in silence. Though 432, the eastern Azov skies fell silent. Not the silence of peace, but of a system broken from within. No alarms, no counterstrikes, no command reflexes. With one precise, deliberate strike executed in under 4 minutes, Ukraine redefined targeting operational command in modern warfare. No need to destroy entire military infrastructure or masses of equipment. Just eliminate the operational hub, and the enemy system shifts to temporary or permanent paralysis. The Flamingo 2150 warhead wasn't just a physical weapon, but a strategic message. No fortress is impregnable, no bunker too deep to be pierced. With under 3-meter CEP accuracy, reinforced concrete penetration, and approach speeds beyond standard interception, Flamingo proved a terrifying truth. With the right timing, one warhead can do more than an armored division. The strike didn't just inflict tactical losses on the Black Sea Fleet, it shattered confidence in Russia's command protection, once deemed an untouchable core. Now every command base, UAV coordination center, cruise missile, or artillery hub, whether buried underground or hidden under radar and electronic jamming, must account for another Flamingo waiting for its moment. War in the 21st century isn't a race of troop numbers or deployed steel, but a contest of who thinks ahead, strikes first, and hits where the enemy can't immediately recover. After this strike, every hour Russia delays re-establishing coordination is an hour. Ukraine gains dominance in air, sea, and strategic perception. From that moment, every enemy command post isn't a war operations hub, it's a target awaiting the next trigger. If you see the Flamingo strike as clear proof of modern warfare's power, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch the next high-stakes operations. Thank you for watching. See you in the next battles, where every precise decision can shake an entire battlefield.